यथाग्निर्दाहिका शक्तिः रामकृष्णे स्थिता हि या सर्वविद्यास्वरूपां तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्. Dear friends, today I am going to speak on the topic, the wondrous word of Holy Mother's teachings. This forms the text of our editorial of Prabuddha Bharata for the month of December 2021 issue. The first thing we have to learn is spirituality in Indian tradition is always interwoven with the daily lives. But we as spiritual seekers have the dilemma in how to apply the spiritual principles to counter and solve the challenges one faces in our life. So we have teething problems of the mundane life, but whether the question before us is whether the spiritual principles will solve the problems or not. We have great scriptures like the Upanishads, which teaches the unity of existence, and we have the blessed words of the Lord Krishna in the form of the Bhagavad Gita, where we learn how to live a meaningful life in the light of the eternal principles. But our life is filled with challenges and complexes of our family, profession and individual life. The question before us is whether the Gita teachings or the Upanishad teachings or teachings of any sacred book or scripture for that matter will be able to solve our problems, our day-to-day problems we come across, we encounter in our family life or professional life or purely personal life. Here lies our inability to make use of the great teachings of the scriptures or the spiritual principles to bring about a qualitative transformation in our lives. And we study spiritual books and we try to follow the spiritual practices like meditation, japa, etc. More often they become very mechanical and they do not bring about any change, qualitative change, and they do not give us even a semblance of happiness or contentment in our life. Here lies the root of the problem. We are unable to embrace the spiritual principle as an invariable component of our lives. In this context, the teachings of the Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi becomes very important to us because Holy Mother's teachings are practical in every sense and they are realistic in their outlook, and Holy Mother teachings are also compassionate to the apprehensions of the common man. So Holy Mother herself underwent through trials and tribulations of life and swallowed the bitterness of straitened circumstances. Therefore, her words are not merely academic or theoretical, but are actual results of her ennobling wisdom and maturity. They are ambrosial in sense, amruta. They give us solace and comfort to our grieved hearts, and they are also sagacious, giving lasting panacea or solution to the underlying problems of life. And Holy Mother's teachings we find no technicality or quoting scriptures. There is no polemics at all. There is no ambiguity involved no artificiality at all. Therefore, these words of Holy Mother soothe our hearts, offer pertinent meaning to the difficulties, and assure effective and practical solutions to all of them. Another characteristic we find in Holy Mother's teaching is Holy Mother's modesty and the absence of ego as a teacher. It is as if a granny bestowing comforting advice to the young ones in one's family life. And in fact, that granny is sharing the results of her years of experience and wisdom. This is what we find, this is the type of teaching what we find in Holy Mother's words. Therefore, the Holy Mother's teachings are intimate and very valuable to us. On reading these teachings, we will be transported to the pristine divine ambience of Jairam Bhatti. We feel the loving presence of Holy Mother as a child does in front of its mother. We feel as if we are sitting at the feet of Holy Mother in front of her hut and cozily listening to her with rapt attention. So we shall study the Holy Mother's teachings under 2-3 heads. The first topic is meaning of life. What is life? Why we are living? What is the essence of life? What is the secret of life? Holy Mother answers to this question. In the beginning, she starts her teaching with a philosophical note saying, the world is the Lord's. He created it for His own play and we are mere pawns in His game. And at the very next instant she says, the actuality of life. She points out towards actuality of life and she says we suffer because of our own actions and it is unfair to blame anyone for it. Hence it is imperative that instead of blaming others for such sufferings, we should pray to the Lord and try to beat the sufferings with forbearance under all circumstances. Another question that queers our faith quite often is, if God is the Father and Mother of all, then why does He make us sin? And Mother has very pertinent answers to these questions. And she begins once again, as I have already told you, with a philosophical view. She says, God alone has become everything. Whether good or bad, it is God alone. Still, all beings act and suffer according to past karma. It is an empirical fact. So, Holy Mother's teaching is in perfect agreement with the Vedantic principle. Though Vedanta holds on to the view that everything is mithya or unreal, only Brahman, the supreme reality, is only the real entity, it also accommodates the theory of karma and in the realm of the avidya. So Holy Mother's teachings are in perfect agreement or in harmony with the Vedantic idea. Now arises the problem of good and evil. What is good? What is evil? Where do they come from? According to Holy Mother, it is all according to God's will. It is God alone who expresses His will through the actions of man. Even a blade of grass cannot move without His will. But so the only solution to this problem is, Holy Mother says, bear with everything because it is all due to cause and effect according to one's own karma. And what is the way out of this circle of karma and how to escape from this? And Holy Mother says, good karma counteracts the effects of the bad karma and there is no need to despair. What we have to do is to surrender ourselves totally at the Lord's feet because it is He alone who does everything for us. Here we find Holy Mother's pragmatic approach. She gives prominence to the duties that one should undertake to make one's life fruitful and meaningful, rather than deliberating about abstract ideas like sin, good, evil, etc. And we find here simple elucidation of abstract principles, practical approach, and down-to-earth viewpoint. The next topic is the art of living. So we have a relation to the earlier topic, to this topic. Meaning of life will remain a mystery forever. Even Holy Mother was unable to solve the mystery of life. And Gita says, Gahana karmano gatihi. It is very difficult to fathom the mystery of the karma or our own life. But living with an ideal is possible for us. Though the meaning of life will remain a mystery, we can live with a purpose, with an ideal. It need not be beyond our reach. Holy Mother teaches us how to reduce the suffering, how to reduce the intensity of the suffering. And there are three important points in her life, in her teachings: faith and devotion towards the Supreme Lord, surrendering our will to the Lord, repeating the name of God with devotion, selfless service to others. And according to Holy Mother, forbearance is a great virtue to reduce the burden of suffering. There is no other effective method than forbearing silently and with patience. And it is also an indication of the mature and enlightened person. Here we see Holy Mother, though outwardly covers herself in the veil of simplicity, she understands the complexities of life. And she also says, one must be patient like the earth. There is no treasure equal to contentment and no virtue equal to fortitude. Mother is not at all passive in her outlook towards life. And she says in another place, miseries are like water flowing under a bridge. As they do come, they are bound to go. Happiness and misery are all due to God's grace. The only sensible way is to patiently remember God always. Now we come to the third point, the importance of sadhana. Miseries are inevitable in one's life, but the best way is to develop equanimity of mind in all circumstances. This is what the Gita says, samatvam yoga uchyate. Equanimity is what is meant by the yoga. According to Holy Mother, this is the very essential aspect of sadhana. This is the very essence of Vedanta also. And the Holy Mother says, the whole world is a dream. Even the waking state is a dream. What you dreamed last night doesn't exist now. These earthly ties are transitory. Today they seem to be all and end of all of your life. And tomorrow they vanish. Everything, husband, wife, and even the body is only illusory. These are the shackles of delusion. Your real tie is with God and God alone. So, one should have a true intimate relationship with God, giving up all worldly attachment. He is blessed indeed if one can have a true intimate relationship with God. According to Holy Mother, selfish love and attachment towards human beings always lead to suffering. He is blessed indeed, she says, who can love God alone. There is no suffering in loving God. And she also says in clear terms, always do your duty to others, but love you must give to God alone. Worldly love always brings us in its wake untold misery. So this is the teaching of detachment Holy Mother gives us, and this detachment should be followed by renunciation. And she says, always do your duty to others, but love you must give to God alone. And renunciation along with the detachment is absolutely necessary according to the Holy Mother. One disciple said to her, Mother, it is very difficult to practice renunciation. And Holy Mother says, yes, but you will acquire it slowly. You make some progress in this life and little more in the next, and so on. So the detachment should be followed by renunciation, and along with the renunciation, one should also practice discernment, viveka, the discernment between the real and the unreal. And Holy Mother gives advice in this context. Whatever attracts one's mind is to be regarded as transient. One should give all attention towards God alone. But the discernment requires control of the mind. So we have here one sequence. First we have to develop detachment. Detachment should be followed by renunciation, and renunciation should be accompanied by discernment or the viveka. In order to practice viveka, we should have the control of mind. That is why Holy Mother says everything depends upon one's mind. The mind of the aspirant should be gracious to him. One should discriminate all the time. But agitation of the mind makes the discernment or viveka impossible. Here we comes to the next topic, japa and meditation. The only remedy to reduce the agitation of the mind so that we can practice discernment, detachment, renunciation and detachment, etc., is to engage ourselves in japa and meditation regularly. Holy Mother says, don't worry, restlessness is the nature of the mind, as it is of the eyes and ears. Practice regularly. The name of God is more powerful than the senses. And Holy Mother teaches three means to achieve steadiness of the mind. One is the unshaken willpower, continuous effort, and Shraddha. The Shraddha is a beautiful blending of faith, confidence, respect, and positive mindset. Even then, one cannot be sure of having control of the mind. And Holy Mother gives us a practical solution. Child, whenever the mind goes after anything other than God, consider it as a transient and surrender the mind at the sacred feet of the Lord. And this is what is meant by spiritual life. And spiritual life is an uninterrupted, conscious struggle with the mind, which is a part of the Prakriti, the lower Prakriti, Jada Prakriti. And Sri Sharada Devi, the Holy Mother, is always ready to help us in the tug of war between our mind and ourselves. And she says in clear terms, explicitly, child, much of the problems do not come from outside. They are mostly mind-born. And what is the best way to control the mind? To remember Sri Ramakrishna and meditate on him. One must continue with sadhana patiently, whether the mind is cleansed of impurities or not, which will happen in due course, the Mother promises us. But Holy Mother never compromises with the practice of the japa and meditation. And if she says, it acts like a rudder to a boat. Sit down once in the morning and again in the evening and repeat the mantra, the name of the God, she says. According to her, repetition of mantra or the name of the God purifies the mind and the body. What is the secret of sadhana? And she points to a small timepiece in the corner and says, as the timepiece is ticking, so also go on repeating God's name. That will bring you everything. Nothing more need to be done. And also Holy Mother explained the purpose of japa and meditation in very simple terms. The natural tendency of the mind is to run hither and thither. Through the means of japa and meditation, it is attracted towards God. So in this way, Holy Mother enables us to become determined intellectually and also pragmatic in applying the spiritual principles in our lives. But we do have our own inherent weaknesses. We are disheartened, and that pushes us into samsara. The suffering, we are always suffering with weakness in mind and weakness in body. We have nowhere to go. Here opens a new dimension of Holy Mother's personality, that is of Guru. Who is a Guru? Guru is one who showers compassionate blessings on such distressed mortals like us. And she is the kind-hearted refuge of the afflicted and destitute, as Swami Abhedananda describes in his Sharada Devi Stotra. Prakrutim paramam abhayam varadam nara rupatharam jana tapaharam sharanagata sevaka toshakarim pranamami param jananim jagatam. She is the asylum to those who are afflicted with fears, to the redresser of the miseries, redresser of the human miseries, and generator of joy in the hearts of her devotees. Holy Mother lends a helping hand to distressed souls like us, to make us feel that we have a mother who would look after our spiritual needs. Everyone becomes her child and receives unbound love, compassion, and spiritual guidance. Holy Mother is the mother of all, mother of distressed, mother of poor, mother of all nations and all races, people belonging to all nations and all races. And she is our own mother. And once Girish Chandra Ghosh asked her, "What sort of mother are you?" She replied at once, "Your real mother, not just the wife of your guru, not an adopted mother, not a vague mother, your real mother." Sharada Devi once told that she had done more in her life than what it requires to make life really an exemplary one. And she is the living illustration of Vedantic ideal. Her teachings are the essence of all the scriptures. She spent her last days in Kolkata suffering from age-old ailments. Even at this juncture, she advised a devotee lady, "But I tell you one thing, if you want peace of mind, do not find fault with others. Rather see your own faults. Learn to make the world your own. No one is a stranger, my child. This whole world is your own." This is known as the last message of the Holy Mother, not only because it is given just a few days before her passing away, but also for its all-inclusiveness and effectual method of practicing Advaita, non-duality in our day-to-day life. And Sri Ramakrishna would say, "Keep the knowledge of Advaita in your pocket and then act as you like in the world." That means one should engage in daily life holding on to the principle of Advaita. The last message of the Holy Mother teaches how to apply this idea in our regular activities. Holy Mother here presents Advaita as a universal outlook of seeing everyone as divine, transcending all barriers of caste, creed, race, and nationality. In conclusion, Sri Sharada Devi's teachings beautifully blend ideal and practice of spiritual life and also harmonize theory and practicality of noble principles. Through the prism of our teaching, we discover a perfect amalgamation of the divine and human aspect of our personality. Holy Mother instructs us in her role as a teacher, but simultaneously reveals her motherly love and concern. Her unpretentious teachings have no parallel in the spiritual literature of the world due to these unique traits. Holy Mother is a liberating force as she releases us from the clutches of the don'ts and don'ts, superstition, as well as mind-blogging exegesis and logic, guiding us on the path towards God. She conquers our hearts with her sweet words, benign look, and pure heart, and being an impeccable embodiment of spiritual ideal and human values. Sri Sharada Devi is an unending ocean of divine love and affection, abiding in which our all our sufferings would disappear, our egos would subsume, and our miseries would be washed away. What else should we dream of achieving in this life? None. Let us pray to Holy Mother to make us pure in our heart, body and mind, and make us fitting instruments for the service of God in man. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.